Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today we're going to be going over user codes on the IQ Pro system. Now, I know we've touched on user codes just slightly in our previous videos, especially when it's related to signing into the IQ Installer app, which is where I'm at right now. I just got it connected, and it's asking me for an access code. So what you need to pay attention to here is basically each code that comes default on the system, whether it's the master code, the installer code, or the dealer code, comes with a certain level of access. Now, the master code is the lowest level. That's basically all the user functions of the system. The installer covers all of the sensor programming, PGM programming, things along that line. And the dealer code allows an even further level of access, which covers things that generally only dealers even need to mess with. However, the dealer code is your highest level access code. So, with that being the case, anytime you sign in to adjust users on your system, you have to sign in with a code that provides the access to all of the other codes you want to adjust. So, for example, if I sign in with the installer code, I will be able to access the installer code, the master code, and any subsequent user codes. If I sign in with the dealer code, I can then access the dealer code, installer, master, and users. So anytime you're adjusting user codes on your system, always sign in with a high enough level of access that you can change the code you're looking to change. I always sign in with the dealer code, which I changed to 5555 when we first set up this system, which you probably saw if you've been watching our videos. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with that dealer code. So now that we've gotten to the dashboard, basically what we need to do is we need to go to the user management section. So click on config down here at the bottom left. Click user management up here at the top left. All right, so once you get into the user management section, you will basically see these codes listed. So because I signed in with the dealer code, I get to see all four of them. But basically there is the master code here, a duress code that is pre-built into the system, the installer code, and the dealer code. So over here on the left, you'll see essentially the same names, except for the master code is called the admin code. That's just an IQ Pro thing. Well, all IQ systems call the master code the admin code. So you can leave it as that, or you can change it to whatever you want. So just as an example, I'll go ahead and change that master code. So click on the top right arrow there, and it will bring you to that user's info page. So you can see the first name for this code is the admin. The role of this code is a master code. It does not have a proximity tag tied to it. We'll go over that in just a moment. And then the expiration date is unlimited. So what's kind of neat with this system is you can set up basically a certain time frame that a user code will be active before it automatically deletes itself. I've never tried that. I don't know if it deletes itself or if it just stops working. But essentially, I'll go over that in just a minute when we set up a new user code. But anyway, from here, if we wanted to adjust the master code, you would click at the pencil down here at the bottom left. So under the user code right here, this is how you would change the actual code. It doesn't show you what the code is, but if you click on it, it's going to ask you to input your new code. Because I haven't changed any codes on here except for the dealer code, it is the default 1234. So if I wanted to change it, we'll just do 4321. Click continue, and then you have to type it in a second time and then click save. So now our master code is set to 4321 instead of 1234. If I wanted to change the name, I could do so and then click save when you are done. Moving on from there, if we wanted to change the duress, installer, or dealer codes, we could do that simply by clicking the arrow and adjusting as necessary. One quick thing I wanted to go over is the duress code here, for those that don't know what that is. A duress code is basically a silent panic code that sends out a signal to a central station if you have an account. So this always sounds like an extreme situation when I bring it up, but it happens more often than you think. Let's say you're, coming into your home or leaving your home or whatever the case might be, and your system is armed. Somebody puts a gun to your head and says, disarm this alarm system, etc. If you go in and type in that duress code, it will act as a normal user code. So let's say our system's armed here. I type in that duress code, it will appear as if the system disarmed. However, in addition, it will also send that silent signal without giving any indication to a central station, which will then contact the police, who will be sent to your location silently. So there's no indication by the alarm system that you've entered this duress code. However, police will be on their way within minutes and hopefully can save your life, or whatever the case might be. So that is what a duress code is. It is always a good idea to set that up and try to set it to something that's easy to remember, even in a hectic situation such as that. From there, however, if we wanted to set up additional user codes, click the plus button down here and it will bring up all the different types of user codes that you can set up. So if you wanted to, you could set up additional master codes. So if you want to read more about, what level permissions all of these codes have, it's in the manual, but it gives a quick summary right here. So the master code can change all user-related features and settings, including connecting to Wi-Fi, user management, sound app, and sensor customization for all partitions. User codes and guest codes, those are actually pretty much the same on the IQ Pro system. Generally, a guest code on older systems is essentially a temporary code that you would give somebody that is going to be house sitting, or maybe a worker that's coming into your house, something like that. You can give them a temporary code and they can come in for a one-time thing. However, with the IQ Pro, you can basically do that with a user code as well because of this expiration date that I'm going to show you. But anyway, we'll just go ahead and set up a user code. The first thing it's going to ask up here at the top is for the code. So we'll just type in 9876. That will be our new user code. Type it in twice and then save it. The user type will be set as user, as I mentioned. Here you can set an expiration date if you want to. So like I said, essentially when the expiration date is reached, this code will no longer work. I haven't specifically tested it, so I don't know if it actually removes the code from the system. I don't think it does. It just basically disables the code until you come back in and re-enable it. But by default, it will be set to unlimited. So uncheck that, and then you can select a date at any time in the future that you want this code to stop working. So like I said, if you had somebody that was house sitting for you for a weekend, you could set this code up so that as of Monday, the code would stop working. So Friday through Sunday, they would have no problem coming in, typing in their code, having access to your house, etc. As soon as Monday rolls around, that code's going to be disabled and they will no longer be able to disarm your system. So you can set that up if you like to. I'm just going to leave it on unlimited for now though. And then down here, you'll have to set a first name. So you don't need a last name, although you can plug one in if you wish. But basically, just type in a first name and that will cover you. So click save, and now we have a new user plugged in. So if I back up to this section, which shows all the codes, you can see we still have the admin code, duress, installer, and dealer. However, now Joe, our new user code, is plugged in. Anyway, back to adding new codes. Like I said, you could also set up a guest code. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two, but you decide basically based on your preference which one you would prefer it to be. If you have a large amount of user codes on your system and you just want to give somebody temporary access, it probably would be better to leave it as a guest code, because then whenever you go back to this page, you can easily see which one's the guest code, because it shows right here what type of code it is. So if you needed to delete their code, just find the one that says guest, click it, delete it, you're good to go. Oh, sorry, wrong way. However, proximity tags, as I mentioned, can also be added in this section. Down here at the bottom it says proximity tag. If you're unfamiliar with those, with these DSC keypads and a few of the button style have this feature as well, but they come with a proximity keychain tag. It's basically just a little tag. I don't have it with me. I do have a little piece of metal that came off the little camera mount. However, it's about this size, but it's just a color and it's got some symbols on it. But basically it's just a little tag you swipe and then it would perform the arming or disarming for that code. If you were going to set up proximity tags, you just take that tag, swipe it, and then it is enrolled in the system. You would set up a name, set up an expiration date if needed, etc., and you would be good to go. When you're done, just stop auto learn and back up. And then down here, it would show that if you had proximity tag in, it would show a proximity code plus the type of user and the name that you plugged in for that type or for that tag. Now, the only other thing that I can really show you is how to delete user codes. So you cannot delete the master, duress, installer, or dealer codes. However, all other user codes can be deleted. So Joe here, if I was done with Joe, let's say we had a falling out, or maybe he got fired from the business, whatever the case might be, you can come in here and delete his code pretty easily. Just select it and then click the trash can down here at the bottom left. It'll ask if you want to remove this user, just click yes, and then you are good to go. So that is changing user codes on the iQ Pro in a nutshell. That is literally every detail you'll ever need about changing user codes here. The only other way you can change user codes on the iQ Pro system is through alarm.com. Now, regarding alarm.com, alarm.com is an end user product, and even though you may be the installer for your own system, alarm.com only gives you master code level permissions. So whenever you go to change user codes in the alarm.com app, you'll only be able to adjust the master code and subsequent user codes. You will never see the installer or dealer code in here. I do believe it lets you change the duress code, however I have not tested that specifically, so feel free to let me know in the comments whether or not that is true. One thing you always need to keep track of though is the user codes on your alarm system. Mainly because, like I mentioned, it might sound a little dramatic, but if you do have a falling out with somebody and they need a way to get back at you and they know that they at one point had a user code on your system, they might try to access you or your home through your alarm system using that old code. So it is important, make sure you're constantly aware of what users are available on your system at any given time. Don't leave codes on there for too long if there is a reason to delete it whatsoever. So always be sure to protect yourself in the event that there could be anything like that going on in your life. So, however, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully, like I said, that was informative. If you guys have any questions or would like to, comment anything, by all means, leave it down below. We respond to every comment we can. And if you guys don't mind, leave a like and subscribe. Check out all the rest of our iQ Pro videos. We pretty much have the whole system outlined right now as far as all the normal functionality, so you guys should be able to use our videos to completely set up your own iQ panel if you so desire. But anyway, you guys have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one.